Hello friends, in this video I show how we can take two Notion databases and connect them using the power of AI. For this, I've created two beautiful databases in Notion. The first one, here called Recipes, contains a number of delicious recipes that ChatGPT and I have co-created. And the second database, called Tags, contains a number of tags we can use to categorize these recipes. And now what I want to show in this video is how we can combine or connect these two databases together. And for this, we use what Notion calls a relation property. So we'll add this additional property to the recipes database and then have the values of this property point to our tags database. And we also don't want to define all these tags here manually by ourselves, but we want AI to do that for us. Now, Notion has got some built-in AI capabilities, but currently Notion does not allow to update these relation properties with AI. Therefore, I have developed a small integration to do that for us. And that integration we can find at autorelation.com. And it's very easy for us to sign up for a free account. We just click on this button over here. Then I use one of my Google accounts to create my AI Autorelation account. And it should have provisioned the account for us in no time. So now we got our AI Autorelation account. However, we now need to give this integration access to Notion, which we can do by clicking on this Link with Notion button, which will redirect us to Notion, and we can now give the correct permissions. First, I'll select the workspace, which in my case is AI Autorelation Demo. And now within this workspace, I can decide which pages I want to give this integration access to. And I simply select the root here to give it access to everything. Now click on Allow Access and we are redirected to AI Autorelation. And we are good to go now to create our AI automated relation, which we do by clicking on this Add Autorelation button. And now we need to provide a few settings here. The first ones are source database and target database. Now, for this integration, we always consider the database where we define the relation property we want to automate as the source database, and the database where our relation values point towards as the target database. So that's tags in our case. So here I simply select source database recipes, target database tags, and we are all set. Now next, as you remember, we want to create this property on our recipes, and our recipes database currently doesn't have that property, and AI Autorelation can create that for us by simply clicking this button here. I'll just accept the provided name here. Now if we go back to Notion, we can now see we have this tags property defined. Now, these three settings, they are really the core ones we need to worry about. And there's a whole bunch more settings in here as well that I'll go through in this video for completeness sake. So the first one is where we can give AI a few hints to help it figure out which pages in our source and target databases are related. And usually the best strategy here is less is more, because as we may think, we give AI more information here, then it will do a better job for us. Actually, that's often not true. AI works best if we give it very short and to the point instructions. And if we get less instructions, we often get better accuracy, especially when we use the GPT-4o mini model. So in most cases, it's best to just leave this as a default and probably maybe just adjust how many matches we are interested in. So in my case, I'm just looking for one tag for each recipe. So I just said, hey, I want you to look for maximum 1 matches for every recipe. The next two settings here relate to what information AI is looking at when it determines whether two pages are related or not. And we have to set this both for the source database and the target database. So let's first head to our source database, recipes, and we can see here that the important information is the description of the recipe, which is in the content of these Notion pages. And Notion calls this content blocks. So therefore, it is quite correct that we set here the page content blocks as the information that the AI should look at for our source database. Now, coming to our target database, we can actually see here that the content is empty, but that the important information you would want AI to consider sits in this description property. Therefore, we should change the target database content setting to value of specific property and then select description. You may notice here that we just have description to select from here, but actually there are two properties in the text database, and we can only select description because this other property here, name, is a so-called title property in Notion, and AI autorelation will always read the information from this property, therefore we never need to select it. So description here is fine. Now the next setting here is the AI model. And here we have two options. One is GPT-4o mini and the other one is GPT-4o. Now I have around 15 integrations configured in my own workspace, or 15 automations configured, and all of them use the mini model, and it works quite well for me. However, when AI has to do some more thinking to know something is related or not, then it may be advantageous to use the GPT-4o model. However, to run this model is a lot more expensive than the mini model. Therefore, I have locked this down to only be available after you've purchased some credits. That is to prevent me from being very poor from big open AI builds. But if you're very interested on testing this out on your free account, then please just write me a message and I'm sure I can sort you out. The last setting here, processing limits. We usually only need to worry about this if we have very large databases, because we run into some theoretical problems when we have some very large databases. Let me quickly elaborate this. So imagine here in this scenario, currently we have a nice limited 4 recipes, but let's say we have 1,000 recipes here. Now, what will happen whenever you add a tag here or you change one of the existing tags, the AI will have to scan all 1,000 recipes again, because your change tags might apply now to different recipes. And the only way for AI to determine that is to kind of look at each page individually and think about which tags are related to this or not. This, though, can quickly add up in terms of AI usage. So in order to make this a bit more efficient, I've implemented something called vector search, where essentially when we changed any tag here, we'll do a pre-filtering of the recipes. So we don't look at all 1,000 recipes, but maybe we only look at 50 and then recheck the tags for these 50 pages. And we don't just look at any random 50 pages, but we look at the 50 pages that this vector search found would be the most likely to be related to the tag. And this processing limit, it determines how many pages at maximum we'll get back from this initial vector search check. So it's usually a good practice to set this to round about the number of matches that you expect each and every tag to have. So in our case, we can just leave it at 30. I click create here. And now our relation is created, and we can see it shows us a status here. And that is due to this integration doing a lot of things in the background. So in order to see what it's doing, I've implemented the status display here. And this particular relation, what it will do now, it will start going through each and every one of these pages and then compare them with all the target pages and then set the tags here automatically. So let's see here how it's doing at the moment for the status. Yeah, now it says that it has 4 checks scheduled for processing, and we have 4 checks because we have 4 recipes here. So if there's like 100 pages in our database, it would have scheduled 4 checks for processing. And as you can see, it's working now in the background quite quickly. Assigned the breakfast, pasta, and dessert tag, which seems like quite a fine job to me. And if we are more interested in what exactly the AI has done, we can click on our autorelation and then click here on view logs. And we can see here that it processed each of these pages and then assigned the correct tags. And we can also see that for each of these operations, it used 1 credit. So therefore, now the AI credits we have available from the initial 10,000 that our free account came with, we now have 9,996. So with that, as long as you have databases that are like 200, 300 pages long, the free account should have you covered for a few weeks of usage. And yeah, that's roundabout what I want to show. So I just want to note here that this is a very simple example where we just take, the recipes and the tags. But really, the great thing about these relations is you can use them for almost anything. So you could have like invoices to customers or tasks to projects or really anything else that is related in some way and that you can put into Notion databases. You can use AI autorelation to connect these together for you and then subsequently allow you to filter and slice and dice your data to make easier sense of it. However, this is quite an advanced usage of AI and also of Notion. So if you have any questions or run into any problems, please don't hesitate at all to contact me. I'm very happy to lend a hand. So looking forward to hearing from you and see you next time. Bye.